Hey everybody, it's Kim with Fitness with Fido, and today I'm sharing some tips of how I'm prepping the dogs before our baby arrives. So she should be here in the next week or two, and I'll give a little disclaimer. This is our first baby, so these are just tips I'm assuming that are going to help, but I'll have to do an update for afterwards. And mind you, my dogs are already pretty well mannered, and they've been around children before too. So they already have that advantage. So some of you all that are expecting, you might need a little bit more prep work with your dogs, but I'll share a couple extra tips for you as well, even though they don't directly apply to my situation. So one is getting them used to the baby's room. So I've lit them into the baby's room so they can smell, they can get used to everything. I have a dog bed already in here because I know they're going to be following me in here, in the middle of the night and all times throughout the day. So I want to make it comfortable for them as well, as this is going to be a new experience for all of us. And about 2 weeks before my due date, I'm getting them used to the stroller already. I walked it around the house so they could see it, and then I also did a little test run on our walks. So I walked each of them with the stroller, and they did quite well. Leia's the only one I'll have to work on making sure she doesn't pull or, when it makes loud noises. So she needs a little bit more desensitization with that, and that will come with time. Otherwise, Ike and Oscar did totally fine with that, but we did a nice test run. It was good for me as well. So I got to make sure if the dogs do any potty breaks to make sure to also hit the brakes on the stroller. And also an important thing to note is never tie the leash on the stroller, just in case, any freak reason your dog were to take off after a squirrel or a car or anything like that. If your dog is prone to that at all, you do not want them taking off with the stroller. That could be very dangerous. If your dog is prone to jumping up, if they get excited easily, that's something you want to work on. My dogs do not jump up on me and others unless it's for a trick. But that is something you want to make sure. So if you're holding the baby or anything, that they do not scratch it or hurt you or the baby. So that's something you want to start working on ahead of time. And then with babies comes a lot of new scents and smells. So, using a little bit of maybe the baby lotion before they come so they can kind of get used to that smell. If you can bring something home from the hospital prior, you can let them smell that before letting them smell the actual baby. If your dog doesn't handle food well, that's a whole other issue, but that's something to want to take note with little ones around. You don't want them to have any aggression towards food. Another important thing to note is making sure you also teach your kids as they grow to respect your dog, not climb all over them, tug on them, pull on their hair or anything like that. I also recommend getting them groomed before the baby comes. That way they are freshly clean and their nails are short and well maintained. So you don't have to worry about them scratching anything. But like I said, hopefully they're not jumping around. A leave it command is good for them to know. I'm still working on that with Ike since he's deaf. It's kind of hard to call that out from a distance. But that's something you'd want to teach your dog as well. So in case the baby drops something or medication or whatever it is, leave it is a good command to know. And then also that you have their bases covered. So when you have to go into the hospital when you're in labor, that someone's going to let out your dogs to go potty and feed them. So if you have any other tips on how you prepped your dog before your baby came, share them below. I would love to hear it. So once we're settled in, I will keep you updated on how the dogs are doing with the baby. And they're already good dogs, so I'm expecting them to do well and hopefully share their good habits with the baby, right? All right, I will see you all next time. Bye. So, funny story, after shooting that video, later that night, probably about midnight, so technically the next day, I actually went into labor. So it was a good thing we practiced walking with the stroller. So I will keep you all updated on what works for us. And actually the dogs, they are doing wonderful. I'll show you them in a minute. And Leia's the only one that has showed any interest. The other two, I'm still trying to find out if they've noticed a baby was brought home today. So everybody has been asking, how do you think the dogs are going to do with the baby? But the real question is how our bird is doing. So here's our little parakeet Guava. She has learned how to get out of her cage. As you can see, it is locked. There is 6 doors. So she's figured out how to get out of it. Hasn't figured out how to get back into it. But it's just pretty funny because here we are getting the dogs ready. Did not think the bird would have any problems changing it up. So I will keep you guys updated, but I just think that's pretty funny.